what the point of this video is. I literally have no idea what the point of this video is. I think just probably on the basis that I know it was World Mental Health Day, and because I've taken a weekend for myself. I didn't really book a holiday. I haven't taken any holiday yet for myself, but I might do that coming up after Christmas because I want to work for Christmas to get the money in. But a lifestyle that I've chosen to lead has given me a lot of moral dilemmas, a lot of personal struggles. Some things I have chosen to do with my life or take directions in. I've always been quite self-aware of what consequences it has. Sometimes I overthink it too much, therefore I don't do it or don't act on it because it just might not work that way. But it's just, I think, my understanding of how the world works in terms of, I think, people. And everyone says, like, you know, when you're good friends with someone or in family, you can spend most of your life helping other people, but when it comes to dealing with yourself, it's almost impossible and unfathomable to try and sort yourself out. And I think with World Mental Health Day, it was a case like when I was at one of my lowest points. It did feel like when I was asking for help, or I felt like I needed to get help, I didn't know who the right person to talk to would be, and I also couldn't afford it to go privately. There was so many different I say friends in general, where people say, you know, you should have just asked. I was like, it's one thing asking for it, but it's another thing when you're not self-aware of yourself to even listen for it or know what the signs are to actually ask for it. Because we're all wrapped up in our own lives, and we all sometimes don't think about how we affect other people. And it's something I've definitely learnt this year about myself, and a lot of what I've thought about in terms of my relationships with other friends who I may not talk to every day, but I know who are the truest of friends I have in my life, and you know who you are. Okay, that's enough morbidity for one day. But I will leave on one very positive note, which is it's something that I've taken from this weekend that I've actually not officially seen. So they just released Big Bang Theory, the final season, and that is the end of Big Bang Theory. After 12 years, it's all wrapped up into one beautiful Nobel Prize bow. And it's about I think Sheldon's. If you've not seen the end of Big Bang Theory yet, I'm sorry, I'm going to spoil it for you now. But it's all leading up to. I think Sheldon's journey has been the most. It had to be the most rounded off. It had to come to a final way of just saying this is how his story should end. I think everyone got kind of rounded off quite nicely. I mean, Howard and Bernadette had their family, and then Penny about to start a new family by having Penny being pregnant, and then Sheldon and Amy winning the Nobel Prize. But Sheldon's speech is like, in a weird way, it's Big Bang Theory started when I was in my first year of university, studying physics, astrophysics, and it's weird to use it as a kind of metaphor or a way to look at like a looking glass, magnifying glass, so to speak, to look at my life, because that's a direction I might have gone down in. No way in how would I have gotten the prize for it, and I would have explored something new, but you never know. That's richer than another life in a quantum field in a different reality. But I don't regret any of the choices I made in my life that deter me from that path. The people I met in my life, I met them for a reason. The people who are around me now are around me and influencing me now to this day for the right reasons. And I'm also a lot older and mature enough to know the difference between people just being around me and people being with me. And the Sheldon speech at the end, where he talked about him being different, him sometimes being tolerated by his best friends, just because sometimes he doesn't always see the world as they do, or they don't understand the way that his mind works. I've always said I'm very much like Sheldon Cooper. I've always said that. I've always believed that I do have this. Since I was in America, I always said I had a major superiority complex. Not just from my intelligence in terms of what I do know, but just in terms of how I am and how I am around people. Yeah, okay, I talk way too fast, and sometimes people I can't even understand the word I'm saying. I'm just saying it now. But my enunciation, my perspicuousness, is something that has followed me my entire life. Just me talking in a different way is something that I've always had with me, and it is a part of me. When I was at school, I was bullied for my ears. When I was younger, I wanted to have them pinned back. But the older I get, and the more I know that they just define me for who I am, I don't want to change that. Coming out as gay, the path that I took around doing it, I can't even change that, because at that point I was living in my own bubble and discovering my own path. The way I came out, the person that I was with at the time, when I had my first girlfriend at university, I don't even regret anything about my relationship with her, because at that point I didn't know who I wanted to be and what I wanted to do, because I was still studying physics and I was still doing that. I was still finding myself. There is so much of Richard that I think there's so much we all learn from every year of our life. Just choices that we make, the paths that we choose to follow. Sometimes the paths are not always ours, and we don't realise whose path we're actually on, whether it's ours or the person we're in the relationship with, or even someone in our family we're involved with. It just all, you learn from the paths that you've followed. You know what they look like, you know how they feel when they're underneath your feet, when they're feeling in your heart and you gut in your head. It's just the way it is. And it's like, Sheldon's speech, back to Big Bang Theory, I know I'm waffling on again different things, but Sheldon's end speech of Big Bang Theory was all about the 5 people, Leonard, Penny, Howard, Raj and Bernadette, that sat in the audience just to be there. And I had that thank you speech or acceptance kind of speech ready this year for my 31st birthday. Because it was a reset for my 30th, because it didn't quite go as I planned. I had my friends there, but didn't have my family there. And I had a different set of people around me that I didn't have the right mindset for. But anyway, in a weird way, Sheldon's speech that he gave to those guys is a speech that I've always wanted to give to the right people at the right time in my life for when my dreams are fulfilled. And I still have a lot more years to fulfill those dreams, and I know that kind of how I'm talking now and kind of what I express and how I speak my mind is the kind of thing I will be saying if I'm standing. I think that speech for me would happen if I opened my first restaurant. Yeah. I think food for me, wow, choked up. Food for me, and me having a story to tell, and me having maybe someone in my life I can share it with, or someone who can help me to make my dreams come true, is something that I will never stop dreaming, and one day I will have. I don't know when, don't know where it will be, but when I do have my own restaurant, and I have a chance to stand up and thank the people who are invited for this meal, I know who of you will be there. I think you know you'll be there as well. You'll all be lining up at the door probably weeks on end afterwards for good food. Yeah, because the physics route for me, as much as my mind still enjoys the geekiness, my heart, my passion is in my food and the way I want to celebrate my life, my love for myself, the respect I feel like I deserve, and the dream that I know I can fulfill, because I know I can. If I can get through these past few years, I can get through anything. And that is the end of today's video, because it's now 18 minutes long, probably one of the longest videos I've ever done. I'm going to edit it down to shit. But yeah. Thank you if you've listened to this entire video and listened to me waffling on. I hope you're listening.